Aloha. Today I wanted to speak on density and gravity and the magic show of the science magicians, the Big Hat crew. Um, Really, what triggered this was cable earlier today. I was watching Discovery Channel was on for a second. And I was thinking, like, what the, like how I used to watch Discovery Channel, the Travel Channel, Food Network, ESPN. Um, on a regular basis, like every day. That was my trend, or my like comfort space, actually, just thinking that I was tuned in to the information, or tuned in to being smart, or whatever it is. In one level, like understanding what this world is all about, um, but never really looking at the source of this information, and anywhere beyond that, and kind of like relating it to different layers of my own life, and different experiences that I've gone through, like coming from 4 years ago in the Occupy movement, being out in the streets and like yelling and protest for information that's out there, for things to change, and then asking myself, who am I yelling at? Like, what am I asking for, and who am I asking? Um, and really, where is all this power coming from? Where is all this information coming from? Where do I stand in this whole bit? And what am I sharing with people? Because back then I was sharing like documentaries with people that I had come across, just like, hey, just share information along the path, and that's good enough, and then we'll get there eventually. That's kind of like how I am today, the same way as be in the moment for who I am now, feel it out with my own intuition, and then go from there. And really looking back on the systems that are placed out there, I just kind of wanted to break it down, um, and understand some of the things that we like hold dear to us, and some of the things that we like believe as our truth and our reality, and where this stuff comes from, because the veil is like multi-layered. There are many different veils out there. Like, there's a veil of religion, there's a veil of holidays, there's a veil of the gladiator arenas, there's a veil of social media, the veil of who we are, where our identities come from, where these history books and all the colonized movements have come from history that's being locked up in the British Museum, and has been locked up in order to filter out this system of secrecy that is maintained without the whole process that's gone all the way back excuse me, from Egypt, from when they went and knocked all the noses off the Sphinx and all the big statues there, took all the gold, hid it under there, and then created this system of the military-industrial complex power. Then over to the Americas, colonizing the Americas and genociding the indigenous people there, and creating systems of worship, pretty much. So the system that was pawned off upon moving from 1492 over to the Americas was the religious conquest, and going back over there and saying, oh, it's nothing but savages that live on that land. We need to teach them something. We need to teach them religion, and teach them education, and how to be civilized. And what people seem to forget is that the foundation of science itself, the foundation of our information itself, the foundation of everything that we share on mainstream media, and within the systems, even who we call ourselves, where our languages comes from, it comes from this same repetitive pattern of somebody telling you who and what you are, down to your gods that you even worship. So when you break it down to just brass tacks, it's from Britain to the Americas, into Hollywood, coming from the religious conquest and colonization of the entire world, looking at looking at Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii right now, and the fact that they still have flags flying, the British flag, and all these little islands that are colonized by military bases for strategic control of the entire system itself, and that's really kind of like what I really wanted to tap on was the density and the controlled opposition that gets played out as your revolution or your change, your whatever it is. Because when I was in the Occupy movement, I really thought that I was like doing what I needed to be doing. And back, like looking back 4 years ago, I wouldn't be doing the same. I'm not obviously not doing the same type of information sharing, because there's another layer, there's other depths of information, and the gravity, and it says I'll get into that in a second. The gravity of this situation has gotten deeper and more. There's more to it, and it took me having to step into that space and go into those worlds in order for me to figure it out on my own, along with other people, internally and externally, because that's what this whole system is about fighting the war on the inside that is mirroring the war on the outside, and then continuing to go on that process and never getting off that freeway of flow, that freeway of information and exchange and learning and expansion between the self and everybody outside of the self, and or at least the illusion of the outsideness. That's the whole thing, is that once we realize there is no separation here, then we'll be able to tune into this whole system itself. And back to the cable and kind of like what this magic spell is all about. It's really about, I was looking at it into gravity, and gravity connects into the flat earth and that whole like idea. These people like Newton and Copernicus and all these individuals that came here, I was just looking into like the definition of gravity, the force that attracts a body towards the center of the earth or toward any other physical body having mass. So this starts off saying this, including earth, center of the earth, or any other physical body having mass. So for most purposes, Newton's laws of gravity apply, with minor modifications taken to the general theory of relativity into account. So the fact that this is theory, this magic wand right here, this system itself that is worshipped through the education system, that is the foundation of why these people are calling themselves intelligent, that have set up all these systems of so-called calling other people savagery, maintaining the system by telling you extra information constantly, every day, waving that. I apologize for the train out there, but y'all should be hearing that anyway, because this stuff is happening as part of this density program. It keeps you in a dense state of mind and in a dense reality that keeps you busy, keeps you on a constant reel, the REEL, and outside of the REAL, even your own ideas of what's real for yourself, and what's real for your culture, your family, your history. It keeps you dense, and this is a kind of jump off from the last video, is how I don't believe in like I've lost a lot of these beliefs, all of these structures, the stuff I used to believe in. I used to believe the stuff that would come on television, and I used to believe the sciences and believe the controlled oppositions before I knew they were controlled oppositions, and believe everything that came on Facebook and YouTube and the ESPN, all this, the news, the mainstream stuff. I used to believe that I was part of this system that is all like a design to keep us in whatever, like in this constant state of fear, and believe in this idea of love and sexuality that gets pumped out through these systems of control, the distraction, the destruction of this world, the blood and the gore as your reality. I used to believe all that stuff until I started to realize that it's a play, it's a magic show. It's a white rabbit into the center of a false reality, and it's once I started to realize that it was about becoming lighter and letting go of all the doubt and the blame and the anger and the hatred and all the insecurities and guilts that gets put in here, all the worry and the disappointment that gets perpetrated through all the dramatization of the revenge and jealous mentalities, the kind of like the lower chakras of this our reality that get manipulated as becoming like, oh, this is your human nature, this is who you are, this is what you're all about, and before you know it, your whole day is all over with, and then you got to go back to work. In the meantime, you keep yourself so-called informed with your new social media, which is just an internal war, an internal density sharing or expansion. Just as before there was even a newspaper or radio and stuff like that, this was the main filter of information. So information is what's connecting people and helping people understand who they are and what they are. And the more information that gets put out there, the less control is within the hands of the people who mean to control, who with the magicians behind the veil. So all these veils have been manipulated to be your reality, and the density itself is built into the entire system. How you build yourself up, your belief in who you are, your straw man. You have to wear this idea. Some people go to work and they're just like, oh yeah, I gotta act my work self. That's an entire that taps on so many levels of our own spirit when we have to do that. But that's like well known within the system. The fact that the straw man exists through the birth certificate program and the whole the university system and how we call ourselves to be successful or whatever thing, it's not necessarily bad in a sense. That's what they're saying. Like there's no real bad or good. That's the power of magic, and the show is that you have to be sold a version of your reality. So this is just science is just a small percentage of our reality. But if you build it up constantly with distraction and more and more importance, and like a lot of the this stuff is emotional. It has to be locked into your emotional grid line, and it gets locked in with religion and holidays that get pumped out all the time. Social media is pumping it out. ESPN and the gladiators that we worship, just like the celebrities that get worshipped here, all gets maximized, like pumped, expanded upon within all these systems that work together to tell us who we are. And the secrecy of it all is what keeps us believing it, and it keeps up our belief. Meanwhile, we're forgetting that the density that gets inherent in here is keeping us from our lighter states of being, our spirit, our true mind, and our true light bodies, and our soul connections. when we get caught up in the density of environment, of the environment that we see with our physical eyes and experience with our physical minds, then we get locked out of, we actually lock ourselves out of figuring out what's going on internally and externally, and we miss out on the passionate experiences and the depths of the trueness and the higher chakra realms. And my main point I wanted to put out right now in this video is this controlled opposition, because it's inherent within the entire system itself. There's no one way that things are going to change. There's no one thing that needs to change. All of this stuff is changing everywhere. And when we have like celebrities, like Beyonce, who is definitely within this system, who go on the Super Bowl and start talking about the Black Panthers, and then people actually believing that, oh yeah, she's doing a good thing and all this other stuff, and not really going into the depths of all the other stuff that's gone within her system, and start to defending. We're really getting caught up into the black and white structure grid. That's the controlled grid again. It's just like creating a system of back and forth for you to fight, never really going into the depths of who set up this system itself. Where did this stuff come from? Like why is it set up on this mid-level of interaction and never going into the deeper parts of what this stuff really means? So the game itself is to keep you in it's the cops against this, it's the cops against the people, the black people, and that's a level of consciousness that is very real, and it's very close to the heart, and very you can see it, you can grip it. It's very dense, it's very malleable and in your face. And once you have that in your magic wand, then you can just start playing it on these different versions of reality the way it's meant to be played. So if you want to talk about controlled opposition, any of these celebrities that are out there saying anything about what's going on the streets are definitely a part of a controlled opposition, and a part of the magic show itself that is keeping us from seeing where this stuff originates, where this whole system, what this whole system is doing itself by existing, and what we are doing to ourselves without looking deeper into the system itself and where it came from, the origins of it. So this is the same reason why politics gets pumped up, and the presidential candidates and so on. It's just a distractive mentality, when really the biggest politics that are going on is the 0.005% of our reality that is worshipped every day, which is the scientific community, and all these isms that are out there, these isms that get into these minds of these people, and then just start controlling through the belief systems and the intellectual and celebrity idols that get put out there, that are no different than the religious idols, political idols, distraction, magic behind these veils. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to just throw this out there and really just set off a discussion of more about the density that's inherent, like artistically, I guess, looking into the word density and how So for coming from densest, it's a frequent, reoccurring, concise, harsh, hoarse, thick-sounding voice, thickness, density, multitude, abundance, crowding together. This is what the Hollywood scene and the political scene, it gets you into a dense state of being. Cable, the mainstream media, gets your mind and your soul into a dense state of being, and it weighs you down. It keeps you down from, and keeps you from going any further than what the system has created itself. And it's a measure of an amount of information that storage medium or tape disc. For magnetic tape is the amount of information recorded per unit length of tape. So basically, this is just an example how I would expand upon this is your tapes, your information, your magnetic strips are being bombarded with information that is meant to weigh you down on every level of your soul, your mind, your body, your connection to spirit. It keeps you locked into the state of like a money matrix and the sexualized mind, the beating down of the divine feminine, the reproductive mentality, the physicality world, Hollywood, TED Talks, NASA, all these people that are worshipped every day. It keeps you in secrecy, which also weighs down on you because you're unknowing of yourself, who you are and who you're connected with internally and externally. It keeps you locked in a system that is inherently for so-called minorities in like the United States. We're like subconsciously being told that we're savages and thugs and all this stuff, and this is a destructive magic show that gets manipulated every day. And when we get caught up within the actual day-to-day flicking of the wands with stuff like Beyonce doing a Black Panther thing at the Super Bowl, that's a deeper thread. It's a deeper layer of the controlled opposition that is at the foundation of all this stuff. She's part of this system. And I'm just using her as an example of all the other celebrities that are out there talking about stuff, because it's not necessarily what they're talking about, and I'm not bashing anybody for what they're talking about. I appreciate Beyonce for bringing up the Black Panthers because she didn't have to do that at all. But I'm not necessarily concerned too much about what people talk about. I'm more focused on what they don't talk about, what they don't speak about, because that's just as important as what gets spoken about. So yeah, it's great that she brought light to the police brutality that's going on, that has been going on. But there's a lot of power that comes from these systems. When you go into the Hollywood scene and look at all the power that's in religion and the money that's in holidays, Hollywood, ESPN, all these people that are out there with all these huge followings in the mainstream, in the news, all the extra world, these professors and these people that are worshipped in the science community. There's themes to what they're talking about, and there's also a theme to what they're not speaking on. And the separation, the not being able to connect all the dots between all of it is the magic itself. It's the veil. It keeps people behind the veil, following imaginary magicians, illusory information, percentages of reality, small percentages of reality that are pumped up in systems of distraction and confusion and fear and lower vibrations of your reality in order to maintain a power grid and use you against yourself. use your ideas of honor and liberty and patriotism and all that. Use that against yourself on your own social media, on your protests out there in the streets, in the information sharing. It's a big grid, and it's a lot deeper than what's televised and what's even on social media and what even a lot of people are on YouTube are talking about. It goes into the makeups of our own beingness, our own bodies, like the density itself. So on an ending note, I'll just leave it at, we can help ourselves and help each other by lightening up pretty much everything. And it's not so much about what we can do and what we're doing and what people are doing. It's more about how we can stop doing what we have been doing and what's been going on for so long, that is the destructive and self-destructive nature of our own existence. So when we stop worshiping these ideas and stop worshiping this magic show, then we'll be able to let go of the ideas of who we think we are and start becoming who we were actually meant to be when we got here. So I'll leave it there. Till next time, peace, love, harmony.